Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka... And we are back with another Twitter thread, folks. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying. So today we're talking about times that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been in crisis. The reason for that is that it's currently kind of in a state of crisis. The format's really bad, the pricing support is so bad that a lot of our top talent is leaving for greener pastures. It's got some people uploading videos with titles that say like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying. But veterans of the game know that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been dying every couple of months since its inception. So today I want to ask you some of the times that individuals prognosticated the end of Yu-Ging as we know it. And I'm going to begin with, I think, the closest it ever actually came. So Wind Up Inzektor Dino Rabbit format was a truly supremely bad time to be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! The top three decks were all incredibly unfun. Wind Up had this stupid hand loop that would just get you on turn one. Inzektor could just break any individual board, think Tenpai on steroids. Dino Rabbit just set 4 and passed. Now we've been through bad formats before, but unfortunately this one was precipitated by a ban list. After seeing the absolute dominance of these three strategies, Konami elected to use the ban list to hit Synchroplant. This pissed a lot of duelists off, and unfortunately for Konami, it was at the exact time that Cardfight Vanguard was becoming big. It's expected something like a third of Yu-Gi-Oh's player base quit for exactly that game at the time. So, let's see if you all can top that. Alex says, after you and I filmed this episode of OCG, nothing else comes remotely close. Okay, I think the reason that the Exodia FTK with like 100% win chance didn't destroy the game is because no one had the head. No one could afford it. Golden Nova says, this set killed Yu-Gi-Oh! And left behind a newer, cooler Yu-Gi-Oh! In its wake. Duelist Alliance, you have destroyed Yu-Gi-Oh! No, you silly Billy. I have saved it. This deck and its surrounding format was so uniquely agonizing to play against. I saw I'm quitting if we don't get a list soon practically daily. This one's funny. One of my top performing videos is called like I'm not having fun playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's about the intricacies of this format and how specifically they made the game not fun at all. To this day, people will find that video just through the browse feature and like voice their current frustrations with the game, and I have to be like, whoa, I get you're mad. This was about a very specific series of cards. Originally expensive and hard to get, format warping had to be fixed multiple times. Truly the first card to end Yu-Gi-Oh! God, the worst period was when like there were known quantities of this card that were just being passed around among like teams, and so if you weren't part of those teams, you just felt like you were never going to be able to beat this like insurmountable advantage. CJ says, set that introduces a half dozen of the worst designed cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! History. COVID kills any chance of a ban list. The one tournament organization brave enough to actually put together a good ban list is so widely criticized for it that they fall apart. COVID Yu-Gi-Oh! Gets a lot of mileage out of the fact that nobody was playing it. The existence of alternate formats meant that a lot of people just jumped ship. I mean, they didn't want to play advanced anyway because they'd have to purchase cardboard during a time of, national economic insecurity. But revisiting that format, it is ass. I wish says, everyone in my locals was doo-doo shitting saying Pendulums on release would kill Yu-Gi-Oh! I knew 4 people who quit when it released. Like, dog, we have Soul Charge. Who needs to run 6 bricks in your YouTube combo gadget deck? Try and Pendulum summon. It's crazy how strong we thought these cards would be relative to how strong they were at release. Raycora says, what about Yu-Gi-Oh! Dying from an outsider's perspective? Often I've told someone I play Yu-Gi-Oh! And they respond to something like, I used to play it, but they stopped making it. Or, oh, did they start making cards again? They genuinely believed it died long ago. That's crazy, but I think it's the result of like from 2009 to 2019, Yu-Gi-Oh! Just had like no cultural impact whatsoever. Now people like know about or talk about like the Dark Magician and the Blue Eyes White Dragon and stuff. You can buy Funko Pops of every character in the universe, but it's crazy that there was like a 10-year period where like no merchandise was made whatsoever. When links were announced and everyone kept posting reports that Yu-Gi-Oh! Was dying, shops in Japan had to put a freeze on buying cards because so many people were unloading their stuff. They weren't right. But I will say Lynx did what every casual person thinks Pendulums did to the game. Gotta remember when they were first released and we thought, man, this will slow the game down. I really must forgive them for the ill I've spoken. Oh, so many people. So many Yu-Gi-Oh! Will die because of tier limit. Yu-Gi-Oh! Will not survive tier limit. Right before COVID, people were saying the game was dying and Toss was stale and decks were OP or whatever. Konami beheaded it and then we got Adamantipator. Firewall facilitated so many different FTKs that we had to ban the card and eventually erase errata it to stop the FTKs. Vrain's had a lot of problems, but this was the worst. To this day, it is staggering how long this card was legal. The first real TCG tier 0 was these two boys, which led to the creation of the first FNL list we got. What do you tell me I can buy cards and they could become illegal? This game's dead. Between 2008 and early 2009, when the ongoing lawsuit between Konami and UDE happened, people were speculating the TCG would just be discontinued in the West. Adding fuel to the fire was the delayed releases of products, notably Crimson Crisis by a month. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's way in the past now, but looking back, we really could have lost Yu-Gi-Oh! In 09. For those of you that are unfamiliar with this, the short of it is Upper Deck allegedly was printing their own Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards that were functionally counterfeits, and Konami found out and got super mad, and as a result, they got in this big lawsuit, and as part of the negotiations, Upper Deck lost the ability to distribute and run Yu-Gi-Oh! Events in the United States. As someone who played against the deck full power PePe before the emergency ban list, people hated Pendulum summons, now add this super expensive tier 0 deck to the list. God, that deck was so strong. Oh my god. I whined about it the other day on Twitter because I was like, no, we really could have done without the emergency list, but we couldn't have. The deck was so good. Even without Shockmaster, it just did so much. The first time the player base at large ever said, maybe if we do it ourselves, it'll be better. Which of course proved that players should never be allowed to make any decisions for themselves or the game. Very true. You remember when Necros was like the only thing worth playing and ARG was like, I'm sorry, we gotta do it, baby. Where is ARG these days? Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying. Proof. Nobody's playing on Dueling Book. Asian Eyes White Dragon. Every other time people talk about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is dying, it has generally been treated as par for the course, but when Asian Eyes made this in 2016, there genuinely was drama for a little while. It's been deleted, but it has a part 2, and Farfa replied to the original vid. Man, Farfa used to be cool. I heard it quite a bit in mid-2021 when this fucker was winning YCSs in decks like Striker. 2018 sure was a year. The thing about 2018 is that it was just bad format after bad format after bad format after bad format. But you know, a lot of people went to a lot of tournaments that year. For me, 2018 was the period in the game when I realized we will put up with anything. That we will continue to play this game, even if doing so actively harms us. Foxcade has a good one. The sky was falling when pendulums were first introduced. It's formed an entire cottage industry of complaints from people who don't play the game, but in the grand scope of the franchise, pendulums have barely left much of a mark or something you need to account for at all. You know, maybe it is good for Yu-Gi-Oh! Though. Gets more eyes on it, that everyone decided they were going to make a video that was like, Pendulum. I don't know how much this counts, but Master Duel was poised to be a generationally huge game until people realized all the best decks were the decks from 2020. Game's in a good spot now, but I think what could have been if the day one format wasn't literal hell. It's incredible that a product this good released with a top 4 decks of 55 Negate Drytron, Set 5 Eldritch, Adamantipator, and T-King Legal. I don't think any of Yu-Gi-Oh's current problems are going to be the thing that kills it. I think the much more likely outcome is that it will make things feel pretty bad until they are resolved. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't have to be dying for us to want it to be better. When links were announced, everyone acted like comments from Yu-Gi boomers saying they would never play Yu-Gi-Oh! And would kill the game. When Pendulums got announced, when Xyz got when